Good morning, guys. This is actually a redo of last night's video that I posted about American Horror Story. It was close to midnight-ish. Well, it was like 11 o'clock, 12 at night, where everyone was asleep, and I was trying not to talk so loud, but no one's home now. I just got little man on the bus to school. Everyone else is off at work or whatever. And I got a little bit of time before I have to leave for work. And, sorry. I'm letting the dogs do their thing while I'm out here, and it's actually nice and cool. But I'm going to get into the show again, because there's a few other things that I wanted to point out from the show. So, I'm going to do this recap again. I don't really know what I don't know if I want to say what I predict will happen yet, because it's just the first episode. So, just a forewarning, there will be spoilers. If you haven't seen the show yet, please don't finish this yet until you've watched it, and then come back. Unless you really don't care that much. But, aside from that, let's get going. Last night I said it started in the aerobics class. I forgot, so I had to backtrack. But it actually starts back in the 70s. These kids are in the campsite thing. They're in the little cabins, and there's these three people, these two girls and one guy, and they're behind a sheet, and so they're not supposed to have, like, the girls are supposed to be separated from the guys, but there's a guy that's in there, and let's just say they're going to have a menage a trois. And so the one girl is scared. She's like, I keep hearing something, and basically what she's hearing is Mr. Jingles. And they're like, no, it's probably, you know, this, that. They're probably they're just missing what it could be. And so she finally was just like, alright, so she takes her shirt off, and then as soon as she takes her shirt over her face, that's where she sees there's like a machete or something right through the skull of the one dude, and then it goes straight through to the girl. And basically that's where she finds the killer and everything. He kills her. He has this thing where he cuts off their ear and puts it on like a little necklace thing, and then he walks out, and then that's the beginning of the show. And then then it fast forwards to more recent times, which is 1984, and they're in an aerobics class. These people. I kept on wanting to call him Xander, but it's Xavier. He is this gym person, aerobics instructor or whatever, and Montana is there, which is the blonde. Brooke, which is the one I kind of a little bit relate to, because she's very quiet and meek, and you know, whatever. That's how I was when I was younger. Not that I am not now, but then there's Chet, who's like the really ripped white guy that Brooke has a crush on, and then Ray's the other dude that's kind of ripped, but he's the black guy that's in the group. And so they're doing their thing, and then it shows Brooke and Montana in the showers, and Montana starts talking to Brooke, saying, you know, she's never seen her around, she's new, blah blah, whatever. Brooke's new. And then they leave and they go to this area where the guys are talking, because they're all friends, except, you know, Brooke, because she's new. And so they're talking about going to this camp because Xavier was going to be a camp counselor, because after so long after the murders, this camp was closed and then it got reopened. So Xavier said he was going to go to be a counselor. He's trying to convince them all to come along, and they're talking about all the murders that happened there and why they had to close it. And Brooke's like, well, I heard that killers usually go for people during the summer because that's when they leave their windows open. And so then Montana introduced Brooke to them, and they're just chatting and chatting, and a couple people agree to go do the camp counselor thing, and they ask Brooke, and she's like, oh no, I'm going to school for whatever. And Montana says, well, if you change your mind, give me a call. And she takes a highlighter, reaches for Brooke's hand, and writes her hand on her phone, or writes her phone number on her hand. You know. Then it goes to Brooke gets home, has dinner, gets ready for bed. She's taking her earrings off and stuff. And the one thing I meant to mention last night, I didn't, was that when she puts her earrings in the jewelry box, she picks up this ring that she had, and it's just kind of, I guess, having I don't know, she's looking at it like she's remembering something, and then she puts it back in there like a, you know, she's trying to remember, not trying to remember like she's forgetting something, but like as in like remembrance or something. Reminiscing, there we go. So then she gets ready for bed, goes to bed. This guy comes in, breaks into her house, and asks her where her jewelry is stashed. He tells her get up and show her, and he looks through this little box that she has. He's like, is that it? That's all that you have? She's like, yeah. And so he takes the one ring out of everything she has that she was looking at earlier. So maybe there's a significance there. We'll find out. I don't know if he wants to kill her. I think he does. But she like makes a fuss, and one of her neighbors calls police or whatever, and then the guy runs off, or I don't know, the guy's gone. I guess he runs off, and she's in her bathroom or living room, whatever, holding her knees to her chest like she's scared. And so then next thing you know, you see them in the van. She's with them. I guess she turned around and was just like, yeah, fuck this. I'm not going to have this guy come back for me, because he said he was going to come back and find her and get her. And Montana, where she's like, no, don't worry about it. He's not going to know where you are. You know, blah, 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 blah. And they stop for gas to go to this campsite. And the guy that's there, it's just like in Jason, where the gas attendant's like, you guys are going to die there if you go. You should turn back now, basically. And while someone's pumping gas, Xavier calls his, well, we say voicemail, but it's not. It's his answering machine. And come to find out, the guy that broke into Brooke's apartment left a message for him saying, I know where you guys are going. Basically. And he's going to find her and blah, blah, blah. Just going to kill her, whatever. And then they get going. They're just chatting away, and he hits this guy. So they go tend to him. The guy's got dried blood already on him anyway, so he's been messed up for a little bit, and they think that he is a hitchhiker that might have gotten lost. At least when they take him to the nurse that's at the campsite, that's what she says. Sorry, just watching the dogs. So they don't tell her that they hit him. They tell him, oh, he was on the side of the road. And you find out later that he was one of the guys that went to the campsite when he was a kid because he's missing an ear. And so he's in the infirmary resting. They're like, yeah, he's been saying some weird stuff, this, that, and the other. You see the one lady, Leslie Grossman's character, I'm not sure what the lady's name is, I forget. But she is one of the, or she's the one that actually reopened the place. She bought the place and reopened it. And she's also, when they're telling ghost stories about what happened to the camp, she's the one that confirms that the murders were true and that she was there because she's missing an ear. And she tells what happened, basically, and it got shut down. And she's one of those characters that's like she's a Bible thumper. Let's just put it that way. She's like one of those fundamentalist, like, Bible thumping Christian women back in the 80s that, I don't know, she's like super strict and everything. So she's like, no smoking, no drinking, no, you know, whatever, you know, how they were. And, then she gives them a tour. She sees the cook. It's like, oh yeah, really good memories here. And I'm thinking, yeah, good memories, huh? But they help out the lady or whatever, and when they're talking about, she was talking to, I think she was talking to Brooke about, the lady was talking, the head lady that bought the place was talking to Brooke and said that after her husband had passed or something, that she bought the place and wanted to pretty much turn into a Bible camp. So I'm thinking, okay, good luck with that. That's not gonna exactly happen, but whatever. She wanted to turn it into this wonderful experience after she had her bad experience and make it all religious and stuff, and I'm like, whatever. And so then okay, so sorry, I had to pause it for a second. You won't see that, but I did. I had to kind of remember a little bit. So she shows them to the cabins. Guys are over here, girls are over here. Girls shower at this time, boys shower at that time, whatever. And then so she goes off, and they're all in the same cabin together. And they're just, you know, smoking, drinking, doing what the teens did. And this guy comes in. He's like this older, I don't know if I want to say jock. I guess back in the 80s he would have been a jock, but the jock style. But he was an adult. He was like he's like one of their head counselor dudes. So Montana, of course, she was just talking about, haven't I seen you before? And come to find out he was in like a workout video or some shit like that. And basically Montana was saying something about how she basically she had wet dreams about him and stuff. Not wet dreams, but just like she fantasized about him and stuff, and when she was like masturbating basically. And so she went into the water skinny dipping, and he comes out there. Well, he goes in the water, and I don't know why they have to emphasize on this package. I wish they wouldn't, but they did. I know that's like an 80s thing, 70s and 80s thing. But so he goes in the water with her, and then they're just making out and stuff. And so he goes underwater to give her pleasure. Meanwhile, off in the distance, you see headlights, and she gets kind of like edgy. Like she gets kind of freaked out a little bit. And so as soon as he comes up from the water, the headlights turn off, and you don't see him anymore. And so she's like, why don't we go back in? I saw some headlights over there. I just don't want to be out here, you know, well, you know, people watching, blah, blah, whatever. So they get out of the water. And, meanwhile, the rest of the kids are watching the Olympics and stuff. And, well, they're trying to. I don't know what she's doing. Sorry, one of our dogs is like rolling on the ground. She's got an itchy back. Anyways, while they're doing this, Jingles, Mr. Jingles, he escapes from the loony bin, basically. This lady drives up, and it's into this one of the, like this, I want to say asylum, but it's not that asylum. It's this like 80s building, like this facility that's got like the crazy people in it. And it's pouring down raining, and they find out that he escaped. Basically, he makes it like he killed himself and hung himself, but he didn't. One of the staff comes in and says something, and then like he finds out he's not dead, and so he gets killed. And then Mr. Jingles walks out. He takes his keys, jingles his keys, and then picks up his glasses and leaves, opens the door for the other, I guess, inmates. Not really inmates, but whatever. Patients. And then makes his way back to the camp because he finds out they're reopening the camp so he can do some more murders. Then, meanwhile, it switches back to the kids. When they're watching the Olympics, they're talking about it and this and that. Chet's all upset because he wanted to be there and this, that, and the other. And Brooke makes a comment. And he gets all uppity about it. Ray comes to her defense. Is like, hey, she was just saying this, that, and the other. And they get into an argument. And Chet throws something at Ray and it cuts his hand. So then Ray and Brooke go over to the infirmary area so that they can clean up his hand and get band-aids or whatever. And while Ray's doing that, he's washing his hand and everything, and she's like, I'm gonna go get some bandages. So she goes to the actual infirmary where that guy is that they picked up, and he's not there. He is stuck on the wall with, he's stuck on the wall with a machete or whatever, and Brooke flips the fuck out. And, yeah, she runs and tries to get away, and she gets back all muddied and wet and disgusting looking because she's all, like, falling all over the place, like the 80s cliche movies, whatever. And they're, like, looking at her like she's crazy, like, what the fuck's going on? She's like, Mr. Jingles is out there, and so they all go, like, looking. She's like, no, don't go out there, he's out there. And they don't find anything. They don't find the dude that they saved, they hit, because she said he was on the back of the door. Sometime earlier when he was still alive, she went to go look for the band-aids, and he was there. He's like, where are you? Or no, she went to go check on him, and she told him they were at the camp, and he's like, you guys gotta leave. But no, fast forwarding back to after he was dead, they're like, girl, you're tripping. It's like, I know what I saw. He was there. But anyways, so they all go back. Leslie Grossman's character, or the main lady, comes in and was like, what is going on? We have this big thing tomorrow. You guys should be sleeping, with all the kids, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's coming tomorrow. She's flipping out. And so she looks at Brooke, who's down there on the ground, dirty and just scared, and says, what happened to you? And she says some religious thing about God doesn't, like, I don't know. She said something about God and being filthy and stuff, so she tells her to go in the shower and clean herself up. And she's just being a real bitch about it. So anyways, then she goes, whatever. It goes to the end where they're in their bunk beds and everything, and you hear this phone ringing. Now, earlier, somebody mentioned, I forget who, I think it was the guy that they hit, but I think he said that the phone lines were dead or something. Somebody said the phone lines were dead, but she hears the phone ringing out in the park, or the whatever camp area. And so she, Brooke wakes up. Montana's like, Montana, look, the phone's ringing. She's like, yeah, who fucking cares? She's like, well, so-and-so said that the power, or the phone lines were down. And so she's like, it's really not that big a deal, you know, fuck you, go to sleep, whatever, don't worry about it. But Brooke goes out there anyways, like the stupid cliche characters, and answers it. No one says anything, you hear sounds, and she's like, who is this? Thinking it's Jingles. And she turns around, and it's the dude that broke into her apartment. He found her, and he was, I guess, there to kill her or something. I don't know. But he's in the picture now, and then that's where it ends. So I'm like, what the fuck? So, obviously she's gonna try to run away. I saw, like, some of the highlights, but that's about it. Anyways, I'm going to go. I will catch you guys later. Tell me what you think.